saying this: the Jews got it all wrong. The original albino shape-shifting reptilian humanoids like Henry Kissinger, Newt Gingrich, and Zecharia Sitchin, along with so many others, were genetically manufactured by the devil's son of Lucifer, Jehovah, and his team of genetic engineers, while Nibiru was traveling towards our solar system 5,772 years ago from this January 2013 AD period today. These Ibarus were deposited upon Earth as the Anunnaki Templars. Their Anunnaki Templars spaceships landed in ancient Mesopotamia, where they had been landing for the past 450,000 years, then traveling around the planet to view the other cultures, as well as to provide clear instructions for the newly created Ibarus to give their attention to maintaining the reptilian empires as reptilian humanoids, and that they were to take over planet Earth and kill off the indigenous population, since the black race was the most populous and the strongest of all of the other nations. They should be killed off first. These Ibarus were to become the spies of the Anunnaki, which they left behind. The term Templars, which the Anunnaki refer to themselves as, goes back for 200,000 years when Lucifer's rebellion commenced. These fallen angels, astronauts, calling themselves the Templars, had decided that they hated Prime Creator, this creation of the Yana gods by the Supreme Consciousness, and that they should be led by Lucifer. They were going to take over this creation and change things. What was created as the spiral curve concept, they were going to make into the square concept, substituting white rule for the dominant carbon existence, and last but not least, the male entities would rule and not the females.
That faggot ass
until this very day, one does not see any female priest in the Hebrew temples at their locations. And the Jews referred to themselves as the Knights Templars. And yes, they have joined into just about every nation except the black one, which as the Hyksos of Canaan land, they attempted to take over in northern Egypt, but got kicked out after one dynasty and never received any of the African Egyptians' knowledge from the scientific point of view of the temples. They've never become ascended master priests. These Ibarus copied the image of the African hypostyle hall and then pretended it was the mythological King Solomon's temple, which has never existed. The bottom line is they were left here as spies to infiltrate everyone's nation.
And steal and lie and claim their way into everybody's world. And murder everyone. And the only thing they built is prisons. That's all they've ever built is prisons. And they didn't build that wall right there. None of that. You can see the sun right there paying respect to who built it. Her children. You can see that. They did not build that. They stole it from the people who built it. When they stole the land, I was already there. Just like if you go to Egypt, the Arabs is in Egypt, but they didn't build the pyramids. Well, those Jews are in Israel now, and they did not build those structures either. You can see that is ancient Egypt, all of it. All that to let the sun in. You know who that is. Then that's what they do. They come in later and cap it off with their mosque, the Arabs. Put that down. And what do they call that place? What is it? Synagogue they go to? And then there's the cherubims right there. Alright, they can make them be female and, white looking. When we know what they really are is the little light angels that you see in the camera that's shaped like diamonds. They come from the sunlight.
The nucleus Cabal brought here to Earth from the planet Nibiru gathered 95% of its present population as converts and proselytes to Judaism by stealing information regarding events which had transpired hundreds of millions of years prior to them ever existing as Ibrus, then rewriting these events to trick people into believing it was their glorious history while erasing the magnificence of other melanin dominant people on planet Earth, or changing the stories as was done with the Africans and African Egyptians to make them appear as the bad guys and themselves as Ibrus, the poor, lonely, oppressed, as in the lying story known as Exodus. These Zionists are extremely hierarchical and ritualistic, as are their Anunnaki creators. The Zionist rituals allows them to communicate with their devil god Jehovah of Nibiru via the antenna given to them as low-level fourth-dimensional technology known as the Ark of the Covenant. There is nothing righteous or holy about it. Anu, along with Abraham, built it, and Anu had Abraham to take it around to the Hebrew temples so these reptilians could enter into the three-dimensional world and sex out whomever was available, as Anu says, so their demons could exit hell via a covenant to help these Ibrus rule the world. These demons could inhabit the bodies of the Ibru hosts for a short period of time by sexing them out by their Kundalini energy, as Anu explains. Anu says in relationship to the Jehovah Anunnaki genetic engineers, we made sex spinal so Kundalini fire could continually regenerate your bodies and genes. We believe that if we could mix the genetic matrix with radioactive consciousness, then you would have stellar vibrations in your spines that we could decode. Every body turned to worshiping Jehovah Yahweh, the powerful deity who emerged out of the patriarchal nuclear explosion. Nuclear power is monotheistic, yet Kundalini activation of each body is polytheistic. Anu goes on to say, once the temple was needed for containing radioactivity, this nuclear energy, however, has gradually overtaken humanity, and it is the source of religious fanaticism. No energy should be introduced into Earth unless the humans have the capacity to transmute it themselves. You could not handle radioactivity and Yahweh then, and you still cannot handle them now. Anu goes on to say, this has gotten so far out of hand that none of you even know who has the waste. Even the CIA doesn't know. This is because secret societies totally control everything that goes on with radioactivity. Lately, the initiates deposited it in the four corners of the Southwest, the locations of the ultimate Anu science since the 1940s, and they have become addicted to this convert energy. You are paralyzed by deep automatic responses to it. You must access alchemy directly from the stars. Then your scientists will be able to transmute nuclear waste while you transmute your inner trigger to save your planet. In his last attempt to make amends for his evil, Anu says, the awakening of the scientists is critical. Scientists are the only members of your society who have any power against the government. They are holding the present authority structure in place, and they know the world is being destroyed. Withdraw your support. You have become almost exclusively the agents of the Anunnaki Zionists. You are puppets on a string that they play. You have played with unstable elements